Camera number 27 of 365 is the EXA 1A, a manual SLR camera with a few little interesting quirks about it, but it's an attractive looking camera, and it's fitted with a Molitor 50mm 2.9 lens, which can be taken off by slipping the lever here down and then just turning the lens. There we go. There were quite a number of different lenses available. This is the only one I have. And just turning to the lens, it's an interesting lens in that it has this collar which you can, let's see if I can do it, you can pull down and set to a particular aperture. Now the idea is that you take your light meter reading and you input your chosen aperture. So for example, I've chosen f8 here, clicks into place, and then what you can do is you can open the lens up to f2.9, and then you can focus with the lens fully open, and then once you're satisfied you've got focus, you just close down the lens, knowing that that's the aperture that was selected by the exposure meter. So nice little feature there of that particular lens, and otherwise it's quite an ordinary lens in that you focus, and you have a scale here showing you what will and won't be in focus. So let's just put the lens back on by lining up the two red dots and there we go, rotating clockwise. Okay, a little button here, which is actually our shutter button. It's not the one here, which you would naturally think it would be. This front one is the shutter button. Now if I just take the lens back off actually, while I should have done that while I thought about it, you'll see that actually the shutter is connected in some way to the mirror. So when you look through the viewfinder, let's just do that. You can't see anything until you actually pull the shutter and operate the shutter. Now you can look through the mirror, and then when you actuate the shutter, the mirror is locked up there, closing the shutter curtain. So interesting little technique that's used, slightly different, and so as a consequence of that the shutter speeds are limited. 1/175th of a second all the way down to B is available, and then as I say, on the right hand side, not the shutter button but actually the film rewind release button, and then film counter and a little memo for the film speed. The viewfinder actually comes off, so a little bit scary, it takes a bit of practice, but it just pulls off, and there we go, the camera. So it just puts put it back in by just slotting it back in. Let's just actuate the shutter and put the lens back on. There we go. And to open the viewfinder, just press the button, and then you can actually release the magnifier, which is always very useful, and then you can focus your image. And then the only other button there is the film release lock button. Nice film wind on action. You definitely know you've wound on your film. So let's just put a film into the camera. Now to put a film in the camera, we let's just close the viewfinder down. Have to unlock this button or dial here, rotate it to the red dot, which then allows us to take the back off completely, and then according to the manual it's actually easier to take off the spindle for the film and then just wind it round. like that. And then we can put it back in. Little ball bearing clips it, keeps it in place, locks it in place rather, he says. There we go. It's not meant to come undone. There we go. There we go. And then we can put the film in there. I won't put the back on because it's... Well, no, I will put the back on because this is what you would do in the field, isn't it? And then to lock it, simply rotate the dial. And there we go. So actuate the camera a couple of times. Very boxy sound. There we go. And then to take the film out, as we mentioned, it's quite well designed actually, because your finger, if you hold it in your left hand, your finger doesn't actually sit on the mechanism here, and you can then rewind the film. That's the idea. Back into the canister. But because I want to save the film, I'm going to undo the back. Let's see if we can show its operation. Yes, you saw the release there. There we go. Take the film out and put the film camera back on, and then lock back door. There we go. And that's it. That is the EXA 1A.